Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the National Timely Action Hour podcast. This is the show where we talk about everything from Star Wars to Green Lantern and everything in between. This is your host, Aiden, and I hope you're doing very well today. I certainly am. This is episode number 17, The Lantern Corps and Their Oaths. So today I wanted to do a dramatic reading of the Oaths of the Lantern Corps from DC Comics and give you a little bit of their history. Starting us off is obviously the original, the Green Lantern Corps. And their oath is, in brightest day, in blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power, Green Lantern's light. This famous oath first appeared in Green Lantern number 9 from October of 1943. Now, before, the original Green Lantern, Alan Scott, of the Golden Age of comic books, who first appeared in All American Comics number 16 back in 1940, he had gone through several different oaths before landing on this one in GL number 9. And this is the oath that would remain with the character to this day. And I gotta say, it's an incredible oath. It's well written, it's very powerful, the meaning behind it is very unique and interesting, and it's definitely one of my favorite catchphrases from comic books. Now we go on to the Sinestro Corps, aka the Yellow Lanterns. Now, Sinestro is a character who was first introduced in the Silver Age of comic books as the nemesis of the Silver Age Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, who is the current Green Lantern at this time. And Sinestro used to be a Green Lantern himself, but then he turned evil. And in the 2000s, he created his own corps, hence the name, the Sinestro Corps. Now, their oath is, in blackest day, in brightest night, beware your fears made into light. Burn like my power, Sinestro's might, which first appeared in Green Lantern Sinestro Corps Special number 1, published back in June of 2007. So, most of these oaths, I have been alive when they came out, with the exception of the Green Lantern one, because that happened long before I was born, but I only started reading Green Lantern in 2009, so you'll have to forgive my ignorance if I get some things wrong. But I do enjoy the character, although my first introduction to the character came a few years earlier when watching Justice League the Animated Series, and in that show they used the Jon Stewart Green Lantern, who was the Hal's partner / sub-in for when he was either busy or incapacitated or what have you. But he's my favorite Green Lantern. Alan Scott, the original Green Lantern, would have to be my second favorite, and Hal Jordan would be my third. Then we have the Blue Lantern Corps. So the Blue Lanterns, they derive their power from hope. The Green Lanterns derive their power from will, and the Sinestro Corps derives their power from fear. So each color has a different emotion or state of being as their sort of thing. In fearful day, in raging night, with strong hearts full, our souls ignite. When all seems lost in the war of light, look to the stars, for hope burns bright. And this oath first appeared in Green Lantern volume number 4 in issue number 36, which was published in December of 2008. Then we have the Red Lantern Corps, and they operate with rage. And their main guy is this alien called Atrocitus. He's cool looking, but I don't know that much about him. The only comics I've read with him, he's had a minor role. So, I don't know that much about his history or his personality. So the Red Lantern Corps oath is definitely the most hardcore. It goes along the lines of, with blood and rage of crimson red, we fill men's souls with darkest dread, and twist your minds to pain and hate. We'll burn you all. That is your fate. And this oath first appeared in Green Lantern Volume 4, Issue 32, published in June 2008. Then we have the Indigo Lantern Corps, or the Indigo Tribe. They are purple, obviously, and they derive their power from compassion. And all of the corps, except for the Green Lantern Corps, were invented post-Crisis on Infinite Earths and appeared in the 2000s to the present day. At the time of recording, it is nearing the end of February 2022. So, they're pretty modern, all things considered. So the Indigo Tribe, their oath is, in sorrowful day, in misfortune night, we help those who need our might. With the lantern power of Abin Sur, we rid your misery with compassionate might. Which first appeared in Blackest Night issue number 5, published January 2010. And on my YouTube channel, I did a review of the Blackest Night story arc, and I would definitely recommend that you read it because it's very well written and the art by Ivan Rice is fantastic. And the colors, oh my goodness gracious, the colors in that book are phenomenal. And I would definitely recommend that you read it. And, on my YouTube channel, I also did a video where I showed some of the trade paperbacks and graphic novels that are in my collection that I recommend that you read, and that was on the list. And then we have the Orange Lantern Corps, and they derive their power from avarice, aka greed. And their oath is both straightforward and hilarious. What's mine is mine, and mine and mine, and mine and mine and mine, not yours. This oath first appeared in Green Lantern Volume 4, Issue 25 from January 2008. And like I said, it's pretty funny. But, they derive their power from greed, and their main guy is an alien called Larfleeze. And he's just so funny, man. Yeah, good times. And then we have the Violet Lanterns, aka the Star Sapphires. And they derive their power from love. Now, the most famous Star Sapphire, for the longest time the only Star Sapphire, was Carol Ferris, the girlfriend of the Silver Age Green Lantern, Hal Jordan. So Carol, she worked at her father's air base, and she and Hal worked closely together, and they developed a romance, and, then at some point she got this pink power ring, and she became the villain Star Sapphire, and it's a very confusing history, but it's interesting nonetheless. So the Violet Lantern Corps, their oath is, for hearts long lost and full of fright, for those alone in blackest night, accept our ring and join our fight. Love conquers all with violet light. And this oath first appeared in Green Lantern Volume 4, number 38, back in March 2009. And, it's just an interesting history with her. I would definitely recommend looking into that if you're interested. Then we have the Black Lantern Corps. And the Black Lantern Corps is a very... I don't want to spoil Blackest Night, because I definitely recommend that you read it, so just please go read it. It's so good. And the Black Lantern Corps is introduced there and is featured heavily there. They're like really They've appeared since, but that's their main story. So, the Black Lantern Corps oath is, the blackest night falls from the skies. The darkness grows as all light dies. We crave your hearts and your demise. By my black hand, the dead shall rise. And this appeared in Blackest Night back in 2009, and boy oh boy, was that a good story. Then there's the White Lantern Corps, and they don't have an oath. The White Lantern Corps, again, don't want to spoil Blackest Night, but they feature prominently in the next story arc, Brightest Day. And without getting into too many spoilers, their thing is life, and the Black Lantern Corps is death. And the White Lanterns, they're pretty cool. But not much is known about them because, they're pretty new and mysterious. And that was the oath of each individual Lantern Corps in the DC Comics universe and their first appearances. So I'll just take this opportunity to go into a bit of the Green Lantern's history, because as I said, Green Lantern first appeared in All American Comics issue number 16, published back in 1940. He was created by Batman co-creator Bill Finger, and I'm sorry, I cannot for the life of me remember the name of the artist, but he did a great job. I've seen some of his art from Green Lantern comics back in the day online, and he did a fantastic job. He was a great artist, and I'm sorry, I just cannot remember your name. But Green Lantern, as I said, the original was named Alan Scott, and his power ring was made by him when he found the Green Lantern when he was in a train wreck. So he was on a train, he was headed to some place, and then the train was sabotaged by some criminals who wanted to steal some of the goods being transported, and he was thrown from the train and landed in front of this Green Lantern. So he took it, and then he cut off a piece, and he made it into his Green Lantern ring. And then later it was revealed that lantern was made by the Guardians of the Universe, and the Guardians of the Universe appear in the Silver Age, and they are the founders of the Green Lantern Corps. They are very old and very wise, and they created the Corps to defend the various peoples throughout the universe. And sometimes they can be hypocrites, but most of the time they're inconsequential. So going back to the golden age of comics, Alan Scott, he operated in Gotham City for like a brief minute because it was written by Bill Finger, and I forget the other name. I think it was Capital City or something like that, which I'm guessing is just Washington, D.C., but, Anyway, so he was a cool character, and his one weakness was wood, so if you had like a baseball bat or a tree branch, you could defeat Green Lantern. And then superhero comics began to lose popularity after World War II, and Alan and Jay Garrick, the original Flash, didn't appear in comics for a while. And then in 1955, Barry Allen, the second Flash, was created, and then in 1959, the second Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, was created. But Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman stayed the same because they're the best characters in DC Comics. And but yeah, Hal Jordan was this test pilot who fought in the Korean War, and he was working at Ferris Air Base, and he was, doing a test flight, and then he came across Abin Sur, who was this alien who was the Green Lantern of Space Sector 2814, which is the space sector that the Earth falls into. And so he was having a fight up in space, and then his craft crashed onto Earth, and he was dying, and then Hal found him, and then the ring deemed Hal worthy, and so it chose him to be the next Green Lantern of this space sector. And so then he started training, and then he became the Green Lantern. And then later in the 70s, I think it was 1970 or 71, John Stewart became Hal's sub-in. And, they became good friends. And like I said earlier, John is my favorite Green Lantern. And then shortly thereafter, Guy Gardner, my least favorite Green Lantern, because he frickin' sucks, he became another sub-in for Hal. And then in the 90s, they ruined everything. Watch my review of The Death of Superman for context. But back in the 90s, comic books were in a very bad place. It was the height of the Iron Age of comics. And they didn't really know what to do with Hal, so they made him turn evil, kill a few of his friends, and then die. And then they made Kyle Raynor the Green Lantern. And Kyle Raynor, he's alright. He's not as bad as Guy Gardner, but, he's not my favorite, but he's definitely not my least favorite. Anyway, so Kyle was this artist, and Ganthet, one of the Guardians of the Universe, chose him to be the Green Lantern of Sector 2814 after Hal's demise. And I'm not sure why they didn't go with John, but I don't know. But Kyle was pretty cool. He joined the Justice League, and he had some fun, but then, they had the villain Major Force murder his girlfriend and stuff her body in a refrigerator, thus beginning the trope, the girl in the refrigerator, to describe women in comic books. I don't really want to get into that on this episode, but, that's a thing that you need to know about the history of Green Lantern. But then in the 2000s, they brought Hal back, and all was right in the world. And he redeemed himself. And that's really the history of the Green Lantern Corps. Then, as I said, in the 2000s, they started having the other corps. But Sinestro was Hal's nemesis back in the Silver Age, the 50s and 60s. Then in the Bronze Age, the 70s and 80s. And he, as I said, was a Green Lantern, and then he turned evil. Then he went to the antimatter universe, and he had the Quardians, the people of the planet Quard. He asked them to make him a yellow power ring, and they obliged him. And yellow is the weakness of Hal and John's and Guy's rings. When Ganthet gave Kyle his ring, he changed it so that it wasn't weak to yellow, but the others are. So, yeah. So, Sinestro got a yellow power ring, and then he used that to fuck with Hal and, do his nefarious plots. And then, they didn't really expand on that until the 2000s when Jeff Johns started writing Green Lantern. And he made a pretty cool saga with his run. I jumped on near the end of it, but I gotta say I really enjoyed it. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. If you enjoyed this video, then, if you enjoyed this episode of my podcast, then, and if you're new, then please consider subscribing. I would definitely appreciate the support. And thank you for all of my loyal listeners for sticking around with me. And please check out my YouTube channel. It's the National Timely Action Hour on youtube.com. And you can also check out my website, thenationaltimelyactionhour.com. And you can join my Facebook page. That's facebook.com/National Timely. You can go to twitter.com and follow me there. It's twitter.com/DABUDDHA99. And you can also join our Discord server. It's the National Timely Action Hour on Discord. And please consider going to patreon.com/Aidan Vaughn and supporting me for as little as $3 per month. And you can gain all sorts of wonderful benefits. You can send me messages directly. You can get early access to episodes of this podcast and of my YouTube channel. And you can vote on polls on what I should discuss next. And you can also get a merchandise with my channel logo on it, like a shirt or a sweater or a coffee mug, anything you really are looking for. And I would like to thank all of my supporters on patreon.com. You guys are what keep the lights on, and I really appreciate you, and I appreciate my listeners and my viewers from YouTube and just everyone who supports me. So thank you so much. I cannot do this without you guys. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope that you enjoyed this episode, and thanks for listening. Goodbye.